So this video is going to be a direct follow on from the previous adding and subtracting complex numbers, and it's just going to be multiplication. It's going to be a fairly quick one. Now, the most important part to remember when you're multiplying complex numbers is this bit on the right. It was at the start of the first video. I squared equals minus 1. So anytime you see an I squared, you can automatically change that to a minus 1. Okay, so just bear that in mind now when we go through this question. Now, it's an algebra question again. Well, similar to algebra question. It's just expanding brackets, something you would have done when you were 12, 13, 14, learning algebra originally. So we're just going to expand as normal. 3 multiplied by 4 is 12. 3 multiplied by 5 is plus 15. But the I is at the back, so you carry that. So the first part is done. 2i by 4 is plus 8i. 2i by plus 5i is plus 10. So 2 by 5 is 10. I multiplied by I is I squared. So now you can see where this is going to relate in a second. Next step, I'm going to fix this so the 12 doesn't change, 15i doesn't change, 8i doesn't change, plus 10. I squared is minus 1, so we replace I squared with minus 1. And now we clean up another bit. 12 is okay. 15i, 8i, 10 by minus 1 is minus 10. And now we've gotten to a stage where we're just combining different parts of complex numbers. So again, if you want, you go back through the pens. Red for real, black for imaginary. 12 in blue is a real part because there's no imaginaries. Minus 10 doesn't have any imaginaries, so that's another important part. I'll put a box to make it stand out. And here. And in the middle then, for the imaginary parts, plus 15i, plus 8i. So they're both together, that's grand. 12 take away 10 is 2. 15 plus 8 is plus 23i. So if I multiply these two complex numbers, that's my final answer. So now this is just a little step up. It looks a little bit more complicated, but it's still very similar. It says if Z1 is this complex number, Z2 is this one, and Z3 is that one. Okay. In your exam, a lot of the times they won't directly give you these numbers. They will kind of try and distract you small by putting in Z1, Z2, Z3 because it makes it a bit easier later on to write it out. So the question says, express the following in the form A plus BI. So that's what your answer has to look like at the end. 3Z1. So it's similar to substitution in algebra. 3 is grand, that's okay. Z1 links back up to Z1 up here. So the first thing I want to do is replace Z1 from the question with Z1 as a complex number that we know. So that's 3 multiplied by 2 plus 4i. So now we've a real number multiplied in next to a complex number. If I multiply that out, 3 by 2 is 6. 3 by 4 is 12i. 6 plus 12i looks like A plus BI, so that's that one sorted. The second example, Z2 multiplied by Z3. So similar to what I did up here, I replaced Z1 with what was given at the start. Now I need to replace Z2 with what was given and Z3 with what was given and multiply them together. So Z2 was 3 minus I multiplied by Z3 is 4 minus 2i. And now we're back to the stage we were here, just multiplying two complex numbers. 3 by 4 is 12. 3 by minus 2 is minus 6i. Minus I by 4 is minus 4i. Minus I by minus 2, minus by minus is plus 2. I by I is I squared. Again, I squared links back to this part. The next line, we will change the I squared. So 12 stays as it is, that's okay. Minus 6i minus 4i plus 2 multiplied by I squared is minus 1. And now cleaning up again, 12 stays as the same, that's okay. 12 minus 6i minus 4i minus 2. And now collecting like terms, I won't use the pens this time because you don't need to use them all the time. That was just to help. But if you're stuck, you can look back at the last video, or you can look at this example again. You can just rewind the tape. 12 is a real number, and 2 is also the only real number. So 12 take 2 is 10. Minus 6i minus 4i is minus 10i. And again, 10 minus 10i looks like a plus bi. So that's that part finished. Now this last example, we have I multiplied by Z1 plus Z2. Now this looks very complicated if you weren't following all along, but if you think back to what you would have done, again, as I've said all the time, it always links back to algebra. You need to try and fix the brackets first. Okay, so if you can fix the brackets, then you do your multiplication and then you're good to go. Similar to what we did a second ago, you need to replace Z1 with Z1 at the top and Z2 with Z2 at the top. So I is going to be multiplied by all of those. I'll put a big bracket because when I fix this first, Z1 is 2 plus 4i. I'll put that in brackets if you want, just to make it a bit easier. Plus Z2, minus I. Now, you don't have to put in the brackets for this example just right now. Just make sure it's a minus. But it's good to get into the habit of it, because sometimes if that was a minus and you didn't put in the brackets, you would miss the sign change. So just be very, very careful with that. When you're multiplying into a bracket, if this was a plus, it wouldn't make a difference. But if that was minus, these whole numbers would change sign. So just put into brackets just to be safe. Now, I multiplied by. I'm going to fix the inside of the bracket first, as in like you would for bird mass. Fix the brackets first. 2 plus 4i plus multiplied by 3 is plus 3. Plus by minus I is minus I. Again, fix the brackets on the inside. This is real and this is real. And just come back to the pens, just the colour pens, just to make it a bit clearer, because there's a lot going on. 2 is a real number and 3 is a real number. Plus 4i is imaginary. Minus I is imaginary. So inside the brackets now I've got 2 plus 3 is 5. Plus 4i, take away 1i, is plus 3i. So now we've got our brackets sorted. Now we can multiply in by the I from the outside. I by 5 is 5i. I by plus 3i is plus 3i squared. I squared again, don't forget. This part is important. So now we just clean it up a small bit. We have 5i plus 3 by minus 1. We're nearly finished. We get 5i minus 3. We're not fully finished the question because they want it to look like this. A plus bi. But the minute I have bi plus a. So what I do, it's simple. A lot of people leave it behind and would actually lose marks because it's in the wrong form. Just swap it round. So the real number goes at the front, so minus 3. The imaginary number stays at the back, plus 5i, and that is my final answer. Now I hope that helps with the addition and subtraction from the last video and the multiplication in this video. Now the next one is going to be division, which is a lot more complicated, but it does have connections to multiplication as well. It's just a bit more thinking goes into it.